HOGuru here with a look at some games I played recently. As always, I'm going to be rating these out of 10 based on how interested I am in coming back and finishing them. happyfunland. Wow, okay, this is kind of amazing. I've played a bunch of mascot horror, so I generally know what I'm in for. But this is something special, beyond just being in VR, which obviously improves every horror experience. I mean, to a certain extent, making horror better is why we have VR at all. But this is something extra interesting. The player controls a videographer dispatched to a fake Disneyland that closed earlier to capture content for a YouTuber who explores abandoned places. Or he did until his legs were bitten off by a gator. So now the player is his eyes and ears as he explores the incredibly well-designed and thought-out park. The consistency to all of the designs is magnificent. The atmosphere of the park is incredibly eerie, and while, yes, there are environmental puzzles and keys to find, the player's main interaction with the world is smashing things with a golf club. That's just some chef's kiss stuff right there. Literally, my only problem with the game is its lack of subtitles. The audio is a little muddy at points, making it hard to hear what characters are saying, and a little text would have really helped a ton. Still though, I'm going to be finishing this game, no question about that. 9 out of 10. Cosmonius High. Love Vacation Simulator and Work Simulator, but wish they were about high school? Man, do I have the game for you. This thing is a treasure from start to finish. The player takes on the role of a unique alien with the ability to mutate itself to fix problems. And there are problems aplenty as the game starts with a space school being struck by a meteor shower. Luckily, the player is there to freeze, heat, shrink, or build electrical connections as necessary to get the place back up to shipshape. And that's not even getting into all of the schoolwork they'll have to do, extracurricular activities they'll have to take part in, and memorable characters to hang out with. Cosmonius High is a delightful place to be. How delightful? Well, this is technically the third time I've restarted the game. But because the PSVR2 is such a fantastic VR system, it's the first time I've actually finished it, which means it gets a I finished it out of 10. Blacktop Hoops. I wonder if I'd be better at this if I'd never played basketball in real life? The developers have done a fantastic job of getting the physics of basketball right. The dribbling is satisfying, vaulting into the air with a jump button is a great feeling, especially when it ends with a dunk. But at its core, there's something missing here, and that's the weight of the ball in your hands. There's no physical feedback to shooting. How could there be? The problem is, I know what a basketball feels like. I've spent countless hours in driveways shooting hoops, to the point where the exact moment of release and slight pressure added to a finger roll is second nature. And so when I try to do that in the game with no physical interaction, it feels strange and off. Rather than a question of physics, the amount of speed I'm supposed to move my arm at feels entirely arbitrary. So shooting doesn't feel satisfying even when I get a basket. It's like the uncanny valley of gameplay. When I'm holding a controller and pressing a button to shoot a basketball, it can feel like a satisfying stand-in for the real thing. But this is so close to the real thing that all I can feel is what's missing. 4 out of 10. Last Mech Standing. In this stationary defense game, you play as a giant robot slashing huge bugs with a sword or blasting them with a half dozen different guns. It's basic, it's easy, but damn if it's not great to play. The player gets constant feedback on their progress with awards for killing a certain number of each type of enemy or using their weapons enough. Then they can upgrade and unlock new tech as they go. Although you can only change your loadout at the start of a run through the game's levels. There's a plot, sure, but it interacts with the gameplay to such a minuscule extent that it's almost ridiculous. When I got to the ending, it was impossible to ignore the fact that a single life lost should have wrapped up the story, but I won't go any further for fear of spoiling things. It's the perfect game to throw on for half an hour of low-stakes monster killing with lo-fi graphics. And I'm happy to be able to say I got an I beat it out of 10. Minako, Beloved Wife in the Countryside. This RPG Maker game is concerned with the woman who cheats on her husband while he's taken ill in his hometown. So, you know, just basic terrible people stuff. There's very little exploration or interaction to involve yourself in. Each new day, the woman has to go to a few set places and have some preset interactions, and then the plot auto-forwards. There's no choices or options that I encountered, and if this were formatted as a visual novel, it would be non-branching. Apparently there's a pornographic patch that players can download from the developer that takes the game from the story of a woman having an emotional affair with a scumbag to one filled with sex scenes. But the version available on Steam that I played is fairly tame and doesn't seem like it's worth seeing through to the end. 4 out of 10. Whale Captain. Well, this is just bizarre. It's a side-scrolling shooter with random levels and backgrounds so incredibly busy that it gets genuinely difficult to tell what's going on at times. Also, it's controlled with a mouse, as the cursor becomes a bird that the pirate ship follows around the levels. It's awkward as hell to play. The weapons and power-ups are confusing to find and use, and the controls, which were most likely designed for use on a tablet or phone, with a player dragging their finger around the screen, are frustrating as heck. That said, there's a boss that's a cat's arm moving a rival pirate ship around the screen, and it mirrors the player's movements exactly, and it's so unbelievably cute that I want to go and see it again right away, so I can't be too hard on the game. 5 out of 10. That's it for the games I've played recently. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for games I should play in the future, drop them in the comments section below the video. We're going to be back here for some more reviews once I get a chance to play a few more games, but until then I'll say that's right, au revoir.